Hello and welcome to Shelley's Sacred Space and Everything Energy. Today we're talking about numerology again. We've done the four main overview. We've done my numerology in the Pythagorean theory, and now we're doing the Chaldean theory. So, within doing this, I discovered that there is actually a chart that Chaldean theory uses. It's called a numeroscope, and it adds more dimensions into a reading than the overview that I'm going to give. So they have their highest self, the human self. I did include the destiny number, which is your full name, but they don't do it that way. They actually use your first, middle, and last name separately. And so in the numeroscope, there are some different definitions than what I got. Now, I am going to say numerologytoolbox.com has a ton of information, including a free numerology through the Chaldean theory calculator, which gives you an overview of your chart and an explanation for all of it. It's very in depth, even though it just touched on the surface. I can just imagine the depth that it can go into. Anyways, we also are reminded that they have an inner expression number and an outer expression number. So the double digit is your inner, and the outer is your single digit. So that's what you kind of present. So in this theory, they use both the double digits and the single digits. So for my highest self, which is your date of birth, we of course know that I'm a 38 which adds to an 11, which adds to a 2. Now they do not have master numbers, so the 11 is still calculated. However, they do have a compound number of 38 with the single number 2 and the compound number 11 with the single number 2. And so what's interesting is these are some of the positive aspects and these are some of the challenges. This flat out will tell you if it's a neutral number, a good fortune number, an ominous number. So let's just say it was interesting. So my date of birth indicates that I have a lot of challenges. I have stress in business, stress of not getting things done. The 11 has warnings of hidden dangers and lots of challenges. I may have low energy, low self-esteem, even though I still have inner strength and the urge, but because of people pleasing, I follow more towards the low self-esteem and the low energy, not sure what to do. I can also be prone to addictions. And then the 2 part of that indicates that I have strong creativity. I love to understand people. I'm empathetic. Sometimes I can miss the big picture. I can kind of be soft, melancholy, and weak, even though I don't like to be weak. I don't like to show that. Then they have the human self, which is your name and your date of birth together. So for that one, I ended up with 88, which equaled 16, and 7. Now, they did not have a compound number 88, so I went with the 16, 7. So the 16 has warnings of fatalities. Now, this can include metaphysical, metaphorical fatalities. It can include identity fatalities. It can include physical fatalities. It can include symbolic fatalities. It's just a lot of endings going on. There is a warning of accidents and or defeated plans. So as I plan things out and expect them to go one way, they're not going to likely go that way, and it will likely end in an ending. It does also, though, state that I have a long life, so I get to outlive most of my friends. So, note to self, I need to start finding some younger friends. Hopefully, that'll work. And then the other thing that the 16 indicated was a state of anesthesia. So, what that meant was a high pain threshold. Like, and to be honest, I have in before broken the top of my foot, a bone in the top of my foot, and walked on it for 5 days, going, it still hurts. I should likely get it looked at. So it's a high pain threshold, or it's a no, it's okay. So this indicates that I need to be aware of that. So if I do kind of feel a bit of pain and it doesn't go away when it should get it checked out, because I could not just be, feeling it, because apparently that's a natural state. And remember, the Chaldean does connect with astrology. And so 7 is connected to Neptune, which Neptune brings in compassion, imagination, the feeling of oneness and connectedness, sensitivities. Now, 7 also will indicate seeking deeper meanings and understandings of myself, other people, the way things are, why the world is the way it is. I have a lot of profound thoughts and I follow my gut instinct, or at least acknowledge my gut instinct. I can be afraid to be weak, which is interesting because we had um, in the highest self that being soft and weak was one of the attributes. So this tells me that my human self and my higher self are disconnected. So that should be interesting to see when that's going to unravel and fall apart. Because this is where you can lead to midlife crisis and you can be like, that's it, I'm done. And I have had that happen in the past. So it's interesting. It almost feels like all the times that I've worked really hard to understand and to get it going and to be part of it, make it happen, all my plans to do that, when they fell apart, I just went, all right, I'm done, forget it, I'm gone. So very interesting. Now I included a destiny number in here. So for the destiny number, I took just my name. In the Chaldean version, they take your first, your middle, and your last, and they calculate them all separately and they add in layers upon that. I did not do that, but I did get 50 and 5. So communication, social skills, I get along, take chances, but I have a tendency to do less work. And in this case, it means if I'm an entrepreneur, I will likely just get a great idea, follow through with that, create what I want to create, post it, or take a video or do whatever, but never do the market research to see if there's a need for it. So I'm doing less work because I'm not doing the research part, likely because I don't like the research part and it's boring. And I'm a little bit more about, just doing. And then the 5 is connected with Mercury, which is your communication, your intellect, your adaptability, your quick wit. I can be indecisive and I love learning. So I'm a natural speaker, which yes and no. I usually get nervous. I see myself as a natural speaker. I love being able to do that. I just don't usually do it in the moment of. One day I will, though. I will practice it enough that I do that. I get along with others and I'm social. So an overall view of this is I've got stress and challenges in my life. I may lack energy and motivation, but I have inner strength and creativity. But that doesn't seem to be enough for the business aspect of it. And then my human self goes through a lot of tough times and challenges and loss. I seek deeper meanings and understandings, and I can be a little detached from myself. And of course, I love fact-based communication. I'm social and I'm adaptable. Comparing Pythagorean and Chaldean, I've got in the Pythagorean, I was spiritual, creative, a leader. I had compassion, I had understanding. Um, in the Chaldean, I've got a lot of stress and struggle and challenges, but I still have that deeper meanings and the social ability and adaptability. So they're a little bit different, but both of them hold true to who I am and the life I've kind of led, which is interesting. So I do see how the Chaldean can give you more in-depth detail, and more specific detail, where the Pythagorean seems to give you an overall view with the challenges and the successes. Now, the other thing that I wanted to look at, so in the higher self, we have the inner number of the 38 and 11. So that's the feelings of stress and the warnings of dangers and the challenges and the low energy and the low self-esteem. That's inner. And then the outer expression was strong creativity, but kind of a softy, kind of weak. Could be melancholic. I am not usually. However, I do have a really good run of negativity if I want to. And if somebody doesn't say, yo, you're being really negative, I'm like, oh, okay. It can run for a while. That's an upbringing thing, not necessarily a numerological thing. Anyways, um, understanding people being empathetic is definitely part of my higher self outward expression. And my human self inner expression is the defeated plans, the fatalities, the state of detachment. And the outer expression of that is seeking the deeper meanings and understandings and having profound thoughts and connecting with my gut instincts. So, yeah, it's interesting because there are those two aspects. We do have that inner, I do have a lot of inner struggle that you don't see on the outside. And not because I'm hiding it, but because you don't show that aspect. That's how I was brought up. People don't see you weak, right? It's not okay to cry, and it's not okay to have a temper tantrum, and it's not okay to scream at someone publicly. These are all things that I was brought up with. You want to have a fight? Go slam a door and go lay down in your bed. That's it. That's all you're allowed to do. You don't get to defend yourself. You don't get to state your opinion. Just do it. Deal with it. So it's interesting. It's very interesting. We are going to look at the Tamil, just to compare it. I know we won't get a really deep dive, but I just want to touch on the surface and see what the comparisons look like. So far, both of these have their potential. I almost feel like if you need something quick and fast, go to the Pythagorean, it'll give you an overview. But if you want something detailed and in-depth, go to go to the Chaldean. Anyways, we'll see what the Tamil brings. Thank you for joining me for our Everything Energy. Until the next time, bye for now.